Thank you very much. Let's turn back to domestic issues. Transportation, federal rail funding hasn't been going quite as quickly as many people would like. No one needs to look further than the bridge collapse in Minneapolis of a couple of years ago to see that infrastructure, highways, bridges are crumbling here in the U.S. Everyone agrees we need to do something. The question is, how do you pay for it? And that's my question for each of you gentlemen. From dredging in the Duluth Harbor to making sure bridges are safe, how can we pay for it? Senator Franken, we'll begin with you.
Well, I'm very happy that we got the funding for dredging, which is so important under the WRDA bill, the Water Resources Development Bill, and I fought for that. Yeah, we need to pay for infrastructure. I think the three drivers of prosperity in our economy are education, infrastructure, and research and development. And the Highway Trust Fund is running out of money. Now, there are certain ways that we can pay for it. There's money there to pay for this. For example, I have voted to end the subsidies to oil and gas companies. The oil and gas companies are the most successful, richest, biggest companies in the history of the world, and yet they get billions of dollars a year in subsidies. You asked before about this commercial where I was attacked for voting for higher taxes 40 times. One of those was I voted to end the billions of dollars of subsidies for oil and gas companies. I was attacked because that's increasing taxes. We should not be subsidizing them. We should be building roads. We should be building highways. Now, Mr. McFadden was asked at a press conference, would he be for raising the gas tax? And he said, yes. Then he reversed himself. He made it clear. He said, let me reiterate, I'm against it. After meeting with advisors. There are ways to do this, but one of them is to stop subsidizing the oil and gas industry. And there are other places that we are wasting money. We are spending up to, in the next 30 years, $1 trillion on upgrading our nuclear weapons arsenal. Those are weapons we will never use. I know I have work on also.
Mr. McFadden.
Chuck, it's a great question. We have a huge infrastructure issue in this country. You know, I've just spent the last 6 months traveling around Minnesota. Roads need to be repaired, bridges need to repair. It is the role of the federal government to fund infrastructure. We need to dramatically overhaul how we do it. Senator Franken talked about making tough calls. You know, you gotta make tough calls, but you also need to take responsibility for making wrong calls. And I believe that the way that we fund for infrastructure isn't working right now. The gas tax is unsustainable because as cars continue to get more and more gas mileage, we're going to have less and less revenue. So we got to find a better way to do it. It's got to come out of general revenues. It's got to be part of a dramatic overhaul of the tax code. And in order to accomplish that, we got to dramatically change the mindset in Washington, D.C. It is so partisan. It's so partisan, and no one takes responsibility. Republicans don't take responsibility for outcomes. They say we can't get anything done because we can't work with the president or we can't work with Harry Reid. The Democrats say we can't get anything done because we can't work with the House of Representatives. Well, this is representative democracy. It's what we signed up for. You will always have friction. You will rarely have one-party rule. It's the wisdom of our founding fathers, of our Constitution. And I put forth that Al Franken has proven that over the last 6 years, he is part of the problem, not part of the solution. He is the most partisan senator in the Democratic Party. Despite what he says, look at what he does. He has voted 159 out of 161 votes. He is number 1 in the Democratic Party. He is in a universe of 1. He is part of the problem. He's not part of the solution.
Senator Franken?
Yeah, I don't know how you cherry pick those votes. I've taken a lot more votes than that, I can tell you that. Look, again, one of the things that I was attacked by the McFadden campaign was voting to get rid of a tax break for companies that send jobs overseas. I was in Winona a couple of years ago. TRW was closing a factory. I talked to a woman there. In tears, she told me how TRW made her train one of the Mexican workers who's going to replace her in the job in Mexico. And guess what? TRW gets to take a tax deduction for closing the factory, for flying those workers up there. I'm sure they're wonderful people, the workers. I wanted to get rid of that to help pay for the things that we need, like infrastructure. I was attacked by the McFadden campaign for taking that vote.
Thank you, gentlemen.
One more minute, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. So just to be clear, this is from Open Congress. You go on our website. This is a ranking of how often Democratic senators vote with the majority of the Senate and Democratic caucus. It's for the 113th session of Congress, which is the last session. It's over the last 2 years. Al Franken is number one. There's only one member of the Democratic Party in the U.S. Senate that is number one. He is the most partisan senator in the U.S. Senate, in the Democratic Party. That is a fact. So once again, I caution you, look at reality. Look at facts, not what Al Franken says. I will go to Washington to fix things. I will roll up my sleeves. I have received the endorsement from many people from the Independence Party and the Republican Party. I even have a number of Reagan Democrats that are supporting me. I will go to Washington and build consensus. I've spent my whole life in business doing that. I look forward to fixing this country and getting us onto the path of growth and prosperity.
Thank you both.